This generation cannot wait even any single day before we see change. And we are speaking with a loud voice that whoever bothers to hear should listen to us. If you don't listen to us, we will still speak. And we shall not just speak, we'll take actions to make sure that we reclaim our country and that we gain our rightful place in God's kingdom. We owe no one an apology. We do not owe Mr. William Ruto an apology. We do not owe our parents an apology.
The struggle of Kenya's Gen Z for good governance. Over the past 2 weeks, Kenya has witnessed a surge in protests led by Generation Z born between 1997 and 2012. These young Kenyans have taken to the streets, demanding good governance and accountability. Let's delve into the economic roots of this movement and explore why Gen Z is pushing for change. 1. Economic hardships. Gen Z has borne the brunt of Kenya's slow economic growth. Over the last decade, the country's average growth rate has been only 4.52%, falling far short of the ambitious 10% envisioned in the National Development Plan, Vision 2030. Slow growth translates to higher unemployment rates, reduced income levels, and decreased investments, affecting the overall living standard.
A short response to William Ruto. Mr. William Ruto, Kenyans have rejected you. They have rejected you in their millions. They have rejected you from Mandera to Mombasa, from Kisumu to Kakamega to Busia to Turkana. They have rejected you in Nairobi and all the cities and towns and villages of Kenya. This is not a small thing, and it is not something that has happened before. Kenyans of all generations, all ages, have rejected you, William Ruto. It is not just the Gen Zs. It is not just the millennials. It is not the so-called criminals that, quote, infiltrated the protests. The protests that have been taking place in Kenya, from coast to coast, from north to south, east to west, have been peaceful and have been led by well-educated, articulate, focused, and disciplined Kenyans. They made a very simple demand that you should have met. They say, withdraw Finance Bill 2024. You could have done that last week. You ought not to have tabled it in Parliament because this is an alien anti-people bill which was drafted by the IMF and the World Bank in Washington. It's not our bill. Kenyans are taxed to death. You've turned Kenya into an outlier state that kneels before the Western world. You thought you could loot Kenya, just like your predecessors have done. And we have said no. Listen to us. And we are not begging, we are making demands. And we are saying if you don't withdraw Finance Bill 2024, and if you don't resign, we will remove you from power.
Despite achieving a growth rate of 4.9% in 2022 and edging up to 5.6% in 2023, the economy hasn't transformed the lives of young Kenyans. They're left wondering, if the economy is growing, where is the money? 2. Finance Bill trigger. The recent protests were triggered by the Finance Bill, which proposed several tax hikes. However, the anger had been building up for years due to unaddressed national problems such as population growth, land degradation, corruption, and politics overshadowing economics. Reports of firms closing shop in Kenya due to taxes exacerbated the frustration. Gen Z, with high educational expectations, saw their employment opportunities narrowing. President William Ruto's promises during the 2022 elections lowering the cost of living and providing better jobs didn't materialize as expected, leading to disillusionment among the youth.
Before we continue, subscribe to our channel, like this video and turn on notification. You can also write a comment for us. What do you think? Now guys, let's dive in.
So basically leo nimeshinda tu nikibonga na Gen Z nikijaribu kuelewa wametoka wapi, na one of the funniest thing nilimanage kubonga na mtu wa pasi. Unajua tunafikiria maybe kuna Gen Z fulani wenye wana feel vibe, lakini kuna wenye I feel, na alianza kubonga na passion sana, na kabisa unaona mtu ana feel kuna kitu lazima happen, ana feel hapana. Na hii ndio analogy naweza peana. Na feel ni kama kuna generation imegrow ikiona wazazi wao wakioppressiwa, but hakuna kitu wangedo. Waliona regimes zikiwa promise kuwapatia better life, wameona wazazi wao wakipitia hard time, lakini hakuna kitu wenye wangedo kwa sababu walikuwa wayang. Hiyo generation leo imefika na una feel ni aje kuna kitu tunaweza do, na ndio unaanza kusikia conversation kama wazazi wetu tulieni, au mafomo wenye wamekuwa kifaitia whatever inaitwa rights zetu, mtulie sasa ni si tujifaitie. Hii finance bill by the way, hii sio issue, hii si the main thing. Hii ilikuwa ni trigger. Hii ni kama ndo ilikuwa ile tunasemanga imenifika hapa. Niyo ndo imefanya hii reaction yote happen. Ukimanage tu jua ama Gen Z ni mabro, ni masis, ni watoi wetu, wasikize. Mimi niko nao church kibao. Hata mwenye kwa nyuma yake kamenje ni Gen Z na wako passionate, wana feel wanaweza change vitu saa hizi. Na wana feel hii ndio time vitu lazima zichange, na wako na time, wako na unity, wako na wako na channels zao za kucommunicate, wako na consistency, wako timely kupiga response. Ukitoa kitu wako timely kupiga response, wako na everything, and unaweza feel wenyewe wakikuwa ignore wanaweza fanya madhara. Hata sikudanganya, wengine washaangalia na wanajiambia hata hii kitu ikipita sauti yetu itakuwa imesikika na bado tutaendelea. Hii concept ya Occupy Parliament by the way, ukiwasikiza si ati ni kitu ya kesho, hawaangalii Tuesday, hawaangalii Thursday. Occupy Parliament ni concept ya kusema wanataka ifike time possibly next election hakuna mtu mwenye atakuwa 50 years ama hata late 40s mwenye ataingia parliament. Wata make sure ni wasiwa young, senator, governor. Wameanza kuelewa kuna places wanaweza kosa ku affect, but washaanza kuona ni aje hii kitu iko. Wako na wasee wao wanawachambulia constitution, wako na wasee wao wamechop, wakiingia TikTok masession ni madaro, vitu zinasambazwa kwa mtandao. So kila level kuna update, so hawa move kama yuko inform, wana move wakiwa inform. Peradventure kukwetu na propaganda itasell. Hii age ya social media vitu zinatembea kutembea, na mimi naweza sema I think ni time gavai ache kujigonga kifua. Wenye wako bunge wacha kufikiria ni watoi hawana kitu ya kudu, hawana watoi na wako na time, na some of them washa give up, wana feel ni kama destiny yetu ishakuliwa na mabii, na feel ni time wasikizwe. Wanaweza kuwa na vitu 2-3 wanaweza changia, na pia kunaweza kuwa na wisdom ya ma elder generation yenye wanaweza waambia. A lot of civil education ya vile gava uraniwa na system uraniwa inaweza wachanua pia, lakini kukani kama tumewaignore ni watoi. Kuna mtu aliniambianga na alikuwa former child soldier hapa Sudan, aliniambia hakuna tumbaya kama child soldier, ana watoi wa kufikiria atalose, ana familia kufikiria nitailose. Huyo msee huanga na utoto fulani, na hiyo utoto ndio inakuanga weapon kwenye utumia ma child soldier, na hii ni risk jua asiye wana reliability mingi. Sama wa Gen Z au ndio ma family breadwinner au ma Gen Z mnaona hapo wengi ukesha wakitai wakifanya ma online job, wengine wako na maparo sick, na ndio sasa wanaangalia wanajiambia ni aje mokoro hii time wacha nitoke ni make change. Wewe huwezi teseka na mimi niteseka, so nina feel hawezi kuwa ignore. Wako na history, wako na facts, wako na data, so easy time ya kuwa ignore. Nafikiria ni time ya kualeta kwa table na conversation zianze. Na pia kwa Gen Z I think pia tumerealize propaganda ni mob inatembea, vitu ni mingi zinasemwa na zingine si ukweli. Ka Gen Z pia verify kitu unasikia. Kasa hizi nimepatana na paper nilibonga, siku sikia evangelical wamebonga, iliandikwa tarehe 6 June na wakaituma direct bunge. Nikapata na barua, na hii barua ya waswakatho waliandika tarehe 7 na wakaituma direct bunge. Juu some of us ndio first time tunasikia finance bill. Hii ni kitu upasi wa kila mwaka, na ni cha evangelicals zilikuanga tukipata hii ripoti kwanza tunaipokea, tunaichambua, tunapeana feedback yetu. So walifanya tu kawaida wakapeana feedback. So si ati chache iko imebonga, au alifanya tu vile wao do. So vile hii maandamano ilianza yenyewe, wasi wengi waliignore. Wasi walifikiria hii tu ni kitu kidogo, itakaa midedi, tu watachoka. Lakini nafikiria mulishika church off guard, meshika kila mtu off guard. So kila mtu anafikiria then itakuwa nini. So na believe wanafaa kusikizwa, lakini pia information na facts ni important.
3. Digital activism. Gen Z has embraced digital activism, using social media platforms to amplify their voices and organize protests. They've taken street demonstrations to a whole new level, demanding transparency and accountability from the government. Their shift is about redefining leadership and governance. They view the ruling establishment and the opposition as two sides of the same coin, advocating for transformational change. 4. A brave, bright epoch. Gen Z's struggle signifies a new era in Kenya's fight for good governance. Their creativity and determination can inspire intergenerational teamwork. As the country grapples with economic challenges, the government must adopt innovative approaches to create economic opportunities for its young population. Gen Z is standing up for their future, demanding accountability, and challenging the status quo.
The Cabinet Secretary for Defense issued a Gazette notice deploying the military to assist the police in dealing with the unrest without approval of the National Assembly as required by the Constitution of Kenya. This morning, the KK regime attempted to camouflage the betrayal of the constitutional provisions and parliamentary procedures requiring that such motions pass through the House Business Committee. Fellow Kenyans, these acts have never been witnessed in our 61-year-old history, nor in decades that our forefathers struggled to obtain our independence. What Kenya, the region, Africa, and the world is witnessing on a minute-by-minute cycle is the unveiling of one dictator, William Ruto. Ruto, in his purported address to the nation, failed to acknowledge the cause of the unrest that lies solely in his person. Ruto never condoled the fallen and their families, and instead congratulated the brute police for killing innocent and unarmed Kenyans. This was in the same fashion he did last year, where 75 Kenyans were killed during the maandamano, and he congratulated the police for a job well done, quote unquote. This is the brutal Ruto that we warned the country about even then. In his address, Ruto attempted to suspend the Constitution of Kenya by terming the rights to protest under Article 37 as treasonous and our youth as dangerous criminals. He has gone further to declare martial law and in the process deployed the military and therefore war against his own citizens. Thereby declaring war against his own citizens. This is unacceptable, as indeed it is unconstitutional. Ruto must also tell the nation who these abettors, funders, and orchestrators of the anti-finance bill demonstrations, as he alleged last night, are. If he does not review the names, it means that the hijackings, abductions, and incommunicado detentions will continue. We demand an end to the Gestapo-like abductions, killings, and immediate release of all abductees. As Azimio, we will fight to defend the Constitution of Kenya. We shall also be challenging the unlawful actions of William Ruto and his murderous regime. We appreciate the concern of the international community, including the United Nations, that have weighed in on this crisis. They have condemned the innocent killings of the protesters whose rights are protected under our Constitution. Indeed, the basic freedoms under Chapter 4 of our Constitution. Article 11, the African Union Charter, and the Union Charter on Human Rights. They have all asked Ruto to stop the killings and dialogue with the Kenyan people. As to whether William Ruto will listen or not is actually what stands between Kenya and total disaster. It is not too late for Ruto to pull the country back from the brink by declining to assent to this oppressive Finance Bill 2024 and sending it back to Parliament for withdrawal and further engagement as demanded by Kenyans and the international community. From here, this brigade who proceed to Kenyatta National Hospital and other areas where victims of KK terror are, in order to condole and support the families and communities of the affected. And if there's some blood donation required, these members of parliament and other Kenyans who wishes, because we gather these atrocities are continuing and therefore the need to donate blood. If there's anything further, maybe my colleagues may want to add one or two things. So the whole thing really depends on William Ruto. Let him climb down and do the necessary thing. Everybody, including the UN Secretary General, everybody is calling for dialogue. And this is a very small window. We want also to ask the army, who have now in a very quick manner been brought into the picture, to know that their responsibility is to actually guard our borders. We do not expect the police under Bugay, who have been killing Kenyans, that the army would want to fall into that trap. Therefore, is absolute restraint, and so that Kenyans can at least come get their country back. Anything?
Their resilience and digital activism signal a turning point in the nation's quest for better governance. Kenya's Generation Z, Gen Z, born roughly between the mid-1990s and early 2010s, is poised to play a significant role in shaping the country's political landscape. Here are some key factors driving their political awakening. Economic struggles. Gen Z faces high unemployment rates, a burden of taxes, and obstacles to starting new businesses. These economic challenges fuel their desire for change and motivate them to engage in political activism. Technological empowerment. Technology and social media have enabled broader participation in political discourse. Gen Z leverage these platforms to scrutinize government actions, demand accountability, and challenge traditional power structures. Activism tactics. Gen Z demonstrates innovativeness, boldness, and resilience in their activism. They organize protests, use hashtags, and mobilize online communities to amplify their voices and advocate for change. Youth involvement. President William Ruto has acknowledged the need to involve youth in policy development. Initiatives like the National Multisectoral Forum aim to address issues raised by protesters, including unemployment, national debt, and corruption. Long-term impact. If this trend continues, Gen Z could significantly influence the 2027 presidential elections and beyond. Their demands for transparency, accountability, and economic reforms may reshape Kenya's political landscape. In summary, Gen Z's activism, fueled by economic struggles and technological empowerment, is reshaping Kenya's political discourse.
We have come to an end of this video. We thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe to our channel. Like this video and turn on notification. What is your opinion? Tell us in the comment section. Thank you so much. Let's meet in our next video. Good luck.